just raising this sacred smoke, knowing and believing it to be so. And so it is. It is so. So exciting.
Yeah, so this conversation, I feel like, has been bubbling for, well, almost 2 years. Okay. Yeah, we're on. Like, almost 2 years. And you have been the first woman to speak truth to me that has just, like, opened my awareness to not only how I perceive other women, but how other women perceive me, how we as women perceive each other, how we can move through a feeling of disconnect into connection and womanhood and sistership, as you call it, together. And I think this conversation just was like a no-brainer. Like when it came in that I was like, we need to do this. And then I presented it to you and you're like, full body, yes, this is wonderful. I've just been looking forward to this ever since, to hear it all and give it the space it deserves, because the honesty and the rawness that it's brought in has just made our connection like so free and clear, I feel like, to the point where it's like we can almost feel each other's energy at certain points.
Oh, speaking telepathically all the time.
Yeah. Like
communicating telepathically.
I think it's removed so many blocks, not only in this lifetime, but probably in like previous lifetimes, and then allowed just, pure love and honesty to flow. So this is triggered.
Yeah.
This is it. So I'm going to invite you to share what we're diving into.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I wanted to share that kind of came forth first was how you talked, not like, was it disconnect or discomfort, but because of that, we're able to have this conversation. And not only can I not call forward the past version of myself, but thank her for getting me here today, because we wouldn't be having this conversation without her. Anyhow, the point of this conversation is to show people, or share that when we are honest and vulnerable with ourselves, how should I put it? These connections can evolve. I'm like, yeah.
So we met for the first time, like hung out.
Yeah, I'm like, that's what I was like. I was like,
2017.
Where am I?
2017. We would have met through, I think, Young Living, right?
Yeah.
We would have started talking through Young
Thank
Living.
you.
And then it was when I moved to Pelly. We were living in Pelly the first time we hung out?
The first time we
Or I was still in Kamsack.
Actually, no, you were in Kamsack.
Yeah. Lucas and Carmen were young.
Carmen was just born, and it was like a month after. She was a month old, and I had messaged you because I like knew that I just needed something for, like, say, aroma healing type remedies. And so that's when we first started like talking. However, one of our mutual friends / cousins was like, you need to meet this person because she's just, you're gonna love her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like,
yeah.
And then, there was a point in time where I didn't really love you at all.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here. But that's how we started talking. And then, you were into fitness. Like, I was like, die hard.
Yeah, I remember you like showing me your garage when I was at the house, and I was like, you were like, come for a workout anytime, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't know if I'm like there.
Okay, so then can we go back to that's how I perceived you? That was my perception. Like, well, fuck, she could do, like, this is her gig too.
Yeah,
and like that's what we're about. And like wicked ego coming in. I'm like, well, she needs to see this because that's how I was perceiving you on like social media.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, she's gonna be my best friend.
Yeah.
And well,
gonna put her through the ringer.
And Holly, get on the assault bike.
Yeah.
And so it honestly, after we connected and like the kids hung out for a little bit. They played. I mean, they were like so little. But I was like witnessing everything you were sharing, authentically you. And my ego was like, I can't fucking keep up with her. Like, I can't keep up with her. I don't know how to show all of it. Like, back then, I perceived you as like such perfection that it's something I could never ever live up to. I was like, you were here and I was like way down here. And so I seen all of this stuff because we were talking. And then when I felt pieces of me that were needing healing, I got out of there and I was like, fuck, do not let me see any of her shit. I cannot see any of her shit. I not like unfollowed you, but like took you off all my feed because I was like, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't live up to that.
And it's so crazy like for me to hear this because in that time of my life, like I was so lonely. Like I was desperately missing woman to woman connection. And to me, it was like I would have never in a million years thought that that's what it was. I was just like, I'm not.
You're scaring everyone away?
No, I never saw this for myself. Mm-hmm. I thought just like, I don't belong or I don't fit in there. Like, so for me, it's the opposite of being like, I should try harder, like let me abandon myself again to like fit in. But then I was also in this transition period of being Brittany with the fitness studio and being like attached to those things, landing into this, moving to the farm, becoming a mother, becoming a wife. And I was so in between these two areas that then I just started like becoming a hermit more and more because I just found that like I didn't fit anywhere. And then when you share this with me that that's what was going on, I'm like, holy shit.
So I think like the point of this conversation is to show like, okay, now when I reflect, it was like alarm systems going off saying, wow, there's like so much pieces of you that is needing to heal. Like your unworthiness, your confidence, your self-esteem. And this isn't even like really that long ago.
Yeah.
That I allowed authentic connection back in my life. And for that purpose, supporting those healing opportunities. Right? Like, yeah.
But you coming to me. So then let's fast forward. We meet again in October 2021.
Oh,
2020. October 2020.
Yeah, because we went a whole cycle before Hollis was born.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it must be. And
was it
21 or
no, it was like May. It was like May and going into summertime, not?
Okay, so then it would have been.
I don't even know this. Does it even matter? Really?
Doesn't matter. We reconnect around 2-ish years ago. And I was just like, hey, like, how's it going? Hadn't seen you in so long. I remember we were talking, like, at the end of the event that we were at together. And then I'm, like, driving down a gravel road a couple days later, and I, like, open a snap from you. And you're like, hey, have to share. And you, like, lay it out for me, and I'm, like, driving with the boys in the back down a grid. Thank God I'm on a grid, because I'm, like, invested in this conversation, and I'm just, like, mind blown, not only by, like, hearing what you just shared about what, like, the narrative, and then me just being, like, whole, because at that time in my life, like, I feel like I was chasing other people on social media, being like, I just want to be like them, and I just want to have what they have, and I want my life to look a certain way to the external world, and yet then I'm like, why don't I have woman connection?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't comfortable showing my authentic self either in that point. So I was feeling the same things. So when you are just like so raw and honest, I have full body goosebumps everywhere. When you just like laid it out, told me all the things, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Women are doing this now? Like, we're just being open and honest with each other? And then, like, literally, I think we've talked almost every day since.
Yep. Yeah.
So do you remember the conversation? Like, do you remember?
When I just shared that I purposely cut you out of my life?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, it was like a mixture of things. When I got really like dysregulated, overstimulated, uncomfortable, overwhelmed, seeing everything that you shared. And it was because it was a reflection of, again and again and again, the things that like I needed to heal within me, and like my feelings of unworthiness. So when I would see like your posts, and like it might not even have been only fitness at the time, it was like everything, and I was like, oh my god, like how come I don't have time to share this, and like how come I can't just be me? How come I can't just be me?
Yeah.
But she can be her, and like fuck, she's like Wonder Woman. And I was like so overwhelmed by my own discomfort that I was like, fuck, see ya.
Yeah.
Like, don't want to see any of your stuff, because I did not know even how to like say co-regulate.
Yeah.
And
but isn't that like so common? Like, this is not an uncommon thing. Like, this is what we are basically, I want to say, like, groomed to do.
Yeah.
When we witness a trigger or something in another woman that we're like, wow, that doesn't feel good for me.
So let's go to that. Now I consciously and consistently choose to, if you have a share of any sort, or just like say something, I will openly and honestly say, oh wow,
yeah,
no wait, what you're doing
yeah.
is making me uncomfortable. There's something there.
Yeah.
It isn't you, actually. It's my reaction to what you're doing. If it causes any type of discomfort, or I am triggered, there's something there. But it has nothing to actually do with you. It's just like, wow, there's something there, and I'm gonna fucking tell you about it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So this is my question. This is my question about this. When you, like, because obviously we're encouraging this, right? We're encouraging women to like open up to one another. And
what was my moment?
Be honest. No, but tell me about that first.
I felt safe. That's like,
to tell me.
Felt so safe.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted sistership, and I knew that this was I am consciously choosing to have this this sisterhood, whatever, last for the rest of my life. Yeah. So I knew that I didn't ever want to not have you in my life again. Yeah. So yeah, so that was that. But that was like in the moment where I was just like, why am I not telling her this? I'm safe to tell her this.
Right.
But that also comes back with like trauma response and la-di-da. Anyways, that was that piece.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's go back to...
Okay, so this is important. The fact that you felt safe, because here's like my question for this is, when you're going to approach a woman with something that triggers you, when does it become toxic? Like, is it trigger only a trigger for you when it's shared safely and met with love, understanding, and acceptance?
Well, okay, we're all, for the rest of our lives, we're going to be constantly triggered. But what's coming to me is like conscious habit and practice.
Yeah.
So like in order to like sustain and keep doing these kinds of things, like when they come up, like, is that what you're meaning?
Like, how do you, so if you came to me and you were honest, and it was met with like love, understanding, acceptance. But if I would have met with like, and maybe it doesn't apply to like every situation, but
yes,
when does it become that woman becomes not a helpful trigger for you, but a toxic, like, source of trauma? Like, where do you cut the energy if your open sharing is not met, if it's met with like
love and understanding?
Yeah, if it's met with like denial or like gaslighting or like, no, I don't do that, or like, what are you talking about? Or at that point,
I know exactly.
Is that the difference?
What was there? I would say that we just owe it to ourselves to find out, and then you would choose the continuum if your reaction wasn't in a, regardless of like how, because we're entitled to all, however we perceive things. We could have the same experience and or the same situation and have totally different experiences, right?
Yeah.
So I'm mindful of that. The intuition just comes in as well.
Yeah.
I felt safe, and therefore I knew I was going to be well received. So again, coming back to what you were saying, although, okay, in a case where maybe there would have been times in past events where I did speak my truth and honesty with, could be a family member, for example, and it wasn't well received, then that is where you're like, okay, I need to create better boundaries of self-respect, because one, we owe it to ourselves to honor however that looks.
Yeah.
And like share and be honest with ourselves and truthful. And so, we're not always going to be well received, but you will intuitively know when you do share if that companionship should stay or go.
Yeah.
You can still see people in your life, but know that, they may not be for you because of the way they reacted to how you share.
Yeah. I think it's just...
Is that answering?
Yes. I think it's just so important that like, we're like, go and like, be open, but also use discernment with how it's received, because your trigger is always an indication of a healing for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's black and white, but also gray, of having someone around who triggers you, but not having like the open conversation about it, for it then to be a growth and a learning experience for both women.
Yeah.
It has to be an equal energy exchange.
Yes, and then it's an opportunity not only to learn about yourself, but like what that connection looks like and feels like. And it's so good. Like I couldn't emphasize this more, that the reward is, it sucks so good to be honest and raw. about like just your feelings inside is like so rewarding, even when it's sometimes painful. Like that entire experience of like me just like cutting fucking see ya was, it sucked. I sat in my own shit probably right up until I fucking told you that what was going down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that like in this conversation, I just would be really encouraging to and for everyone to be willing to sit in their own shit.
Yeah.
And like take responsibility, be accountable. Because like I said, and I corrected myself, not you.
Right.
Me.
Yeah.
What you did, my reaction to that. Because it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to like it or I'm not going to like it. If I don't like it, that's on me.
Yeah. And what I find is like, we are kind of brought up from young girls to then women, and I am so thankful that like in the middle of our lives, and especially in the thick of motherhood, that we have changed the narrative.
Yeah.
But there's still so much work to do surrounding how women are kind of taught to interact with one another, and just like building, how I kind of see it is like, you see something that you don't like in another woman and you like lay a brick, and then you like lay a brick, and soon we're like all in these like brick bubbles, and all you have are like very surface relationships with other women. And that's why like I used to think meeting girls in the bar bathroom was like the best thing ever, because it was just like so awesome. And now I'm like, that was your best like woman connection, drunk in the bathroom.
And I love that because it's funny. I resonate for sure. Because who doesn't like drunk bathroom talk?
Yeah.
But I would like step back and like perceive you and be like, oh no, like that's just actually how she is. Like Brittany's that's who she is.
Right.
She's not fucking putting on a show.
Right.
She's just, that's how she is.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, when you do that, that means I get to be myself too.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's like a permission slip.
Yeah. Yes.
And when we can have these conversations, I feel like that is like not only taking the bricks away, but like bulldozing them completely. And we're not all in our separate houses. And then this is like, we all want this connection. We all crave it. But like,
sure.
You were the one who was like, hey, I'll take my bricks down first.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, and I think that we probably would have slowly gotten there, but like the fact that you were just like, like the big bad wolf who just like blew the brick house down.
I was like I'm not doing it anymore. I was just like not doing it anymore.
And like, thank God. You know, like, because it just allowed it to be like it never happened. Like, not that it didn't exist, but it was almost like a fresh start with just this kind of like, yeah, we knew each other before, but it also just didn't matter from that day forward that like we ever met and then weren't close.
Yeah.
Like that time gap disappeared.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I think there's I think we should also hone into the fact that yeah, like that's what got us here. Although it was like, you know, it seemed like so big. Wish it was a long time. But we can, it's just like when we did get back, we're getting back together. Never getting back together. It was like we had been friends for lifetimes.
Yeah. And I think it also speaks to like, it doesn't matter if there's been a gap, if you still feel a connection with someone, or if, you know, it was something 100 lifetimes ago that, like, seems like it was 2 years ago, but also I'm like, I've witnessed myself, like, die and be reborn so many times within that frame.
Having a conversation with your higher self and your ego, and how important it is as women, like when I approached you or like sent you like a massive essay of like, man, like this is what I did. I had to have that conversation with myself, and I asked my higher self to step in and be like, no, like, do you know this to be true? What all the stories that you had previously said in your head, that is very much ego based. Do you know this all to be true? I have to share this story, and I think you already know. I kind of briefed on it with you. That like what that looks like, what the triggered conversation looks like once you're honest with yourself and you feel safe enough to share in sistership.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to be honest with myself, and I'm really, really fucking good at like full body waxing and like loving all the things. Like I give a fucking mean brows. And then there's like Brittany who comes in and there was something there, and I'm like, why do I feel so like insecure about like my passion? And so when that happened for me, I shared it consciously with you, and I'm like, like I had to have a conversation with my ego self and my higher wisdom, and like say like to decipher, and then I freely shared that with you. Like, why am I worried about whether I'm gonna screw your eyebrows up? Because I fucking know what I'm doing, and I'm good at what I do. However, I think there's also that like not that I don't like value all my clientele, but I just like value our relationship so much, and like all of my dear sisters, that like that's what came in, and I just freely shared it with you because I always feel safe to do so.
Yeah. It's just it's a normal part of like our dialogue.
Yes.
And you always ask, and I'm always like, yes, tell me. But we've never, like, because I'm like so honest. Like, I'm so thankful for it because it brings me awareness. And like, you tell me things, and I laugh. Like, you're intimidating, and I forgot how to wax eyebrows for a second. And I'm like, I was a frazzled mess coming from hockey, concerned about, like, I don't even remember, but I was like spinny, like, loved my eyebrows, couldn't stop looking in the mirror. Yeah. But this is just a normal part of our relationship now. Like, I know for myself, it's gotten to the point for me where I'm like, you can live in your purpose, and you can share, and you can risk triggering other people, because
but that's your purpose.
And it literally is built into my human design, and like, but it's only from sharing my personal journey and my story. So it's like, you either lay your shit out, and you're open, and you're honest, and you invite all of this other energy in, but you also get the exchange of like living in your purpose, or you can shut it off.
That is like the exchange.
And be a hermit. That's what it is. And that's, I say it now, like, I'm not doing it if it doesn't have the feeling.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, it has to have the feeling.
Of course. And I mean, I couldn't embrace that enough. It's like even everyday choice, making them from feeling and intuitive knowing, right? I wanted to say that what you just shared is like the power and foundation of this conversation. Yeah. Honestly. Like the fact that your purpose is to trigger other people, well, I couldn't be fucking happier then.
Yeah.
Then I will clearly know and define what it is in me that's still needing healing.
Yeah.
Like, could we be happy about that, even though it forces us to sit in our shit? Why not? Why not?
And once it like made sense to me, and I think even if it's not your purpose, like it still happens every day.
Yes.
Like even just because
Good
it's
to
like
bring that up.
part of my like soul mission here is basically to trigger people. It doesn't have to be the case for you to still trigger people, because we all, like, women are all funny, women are all beautiful, women are all talented, gifted, and we should inspire, and that should be the flip of it, is not, you know, like, yes, this is a trigger, but also I'm seeing something in you that makes me feel inspired to work on in myself. And if we can like flip that narrative, instead of being like, no, back the fuck away, unfollow, like unsubscribe from you, I think that that's like where it shifts.
Yes. And call me weird, but I am excited when that does happen for me, because then I recognize, ooh, like I get intrigued and I'm curious. Okay, well, like what now, Rochelle? Like, okay.
Yeah, sometimes it feels annoying, right? Sometimes it feels annoying because it's not like it goes away either. Like it's a constant
like you said,
thing.
we can flip the switch and look at it in a different way.
Yeah. And sometimes like what we're even feeling triggered by has like nothing to do with that. Like you have to like trace it back and then be willing, like you said, to sit in the gunk.
Yeah.
To be like, where is this actually coming from? Because her hairstyle shouldn't actually set me off like this. A little tiny thing that like we will obsess over about another woman and like make that the reason not to be friends with her.
Yeah.
And it's like, that has nothing to do, that is actually
your feeling reflection.
Yes, it's a mirror and it's a reflection.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have like soul connection with every single woman who triggers us, but there is value in that.
Yes.
With every single instance.
What I'm getting from that is, although, say, earlier in our conversation, how say we weren't well received.
Yeah.
Okay. There's still value from that, even though we're not going to pursue that relationship.
Yeah, and I think there's power in then not getting into like, oh, she this, she that. It's not me. No, I was right, because that's kind of the narrative that goes on. It's like, I don't have to do any work with myself now because I'm just going to cut that out of my life. And then we see these repeating things in all of these other relationships.
You just explained that was exactly me, so however many years ago.
But, like, we don't realize it sometimes. I feel like a lot of times. Or it's just like, it gives us the permission to then not look at ourselves if we're not received well. But I think the message is, if you're not received well, you still have to do the work.
Yeah.
You still have to sit with the trigger. That's still meant for you.
It is still meant for you, even if you're not going to pursue that relationship. There's something there.
Yeah. I think that is such an important piece. Because it's not going to stop triggering. Like, the person might change, but the trigger is yours, and it's always going to be there until we sit with it.
Yeah.
And probably...
it serves its purpose.
Yeah.
That's good.
Moving mountains here.
Yeah.
I love it.
Big time, though. Like, and again, that permission. Like, bringing this conversation forth so that... how do I say it? I gave myself permission to, or an opportunity to sit with myself and, like, look in the mirror and work through things that I'm consciously choosing to work through in this lifetime.
Yeah. And put, like, your heart before your ego. Put your soul before your ego.
Thank you.
What do I crave for myself? If it is woman connection, if it is a village, then we have to make these conversations the normal.
Yes, it becomes a daily practice.
Yeah, it has to be that way. Yeah. Because otherwise we lay those bricks. And it just becomes like this, how we live and how we interact with other women. And it's like, there is another way. Yeah. Oh. And there's such freedom in it.
Yes. Freedom, and like my heart is so warm. Yeah. Like it's a feel good.
I'm freezing because I have goosebumps all over my body. This whole conversation, I'm freezing.
Oh, my feet are a little
You're
damp.
Sweating over there. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
All the good goosies though. But... oh. Yeah. I think we got it.
Oh yeah, this is good. Yeah,
it's good. Oh my god.
Okay, Grit.
Oh my